Hi there, I'm Matt Hayson, and today I'm going to be recapping the 2014 property market. And wow, what a year it's been. There is no doubt, in our opinion, that 2014 is going to be recorded as a spike in the historical property calendar. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights throughout the year. There's no doubt that the market kicked off in January with buyer enthusiasm and energy. Spurred on by the low interest rate environment, we noticed momentum building through the months of February and March. Now again, in our opinion, the spike of the market and the peak was around the Easter period, where over 3 consecutive weekends, over 1,000 homes were recorded going to auction each Saturday. That was a history-breaking result. And the auction clearance rate sat consistently above 80%. Now, in and around this time period, all of our auctions attracted multiple competition, buyer aggression, and a lot of properties sold above reserve. As we moved into the winter months, listings really tightened up and we noticed a little tilt in the marketplace. Now, buyers did become a little bit frustrated with the lack of property and also the lack of quality that was available through winter. Now, a lot of homes did trade, but there was certainly some frustration. And then hit the spring market. Now, the early spring market was a little bit slow, but in late September and early October, a huge amount of property came onto the marketplace. We were so enthused by the quality of property and also the volume. And the early signs were really positive. The auction clearance rate continued to kick up around the 80% clearance rate. Now, the market did finish on a strong point in 2014, but there's no doubt that it did run out of a little bit of gas with so much property selling through the course of the year. But in our view, 2015 is shaping up to be another positive start, with the big driving factor being that low interest rate environment. So now let's take a closer look at some of our key marketplaces.
Hi, I'm Cobden. The premium sector of the local property market performed really well during 2014, probably resulting in some 10 to 15% capital growth. This was primarily underpinned by the strength of the sub $2 million market, which resulted in a return of confidence filtering through to the premium price levels. In terms of waterfront sales, Cobden and Hayson achieved the highest waterfront property sale under the hammer this year, being the sale of 82 Louisa Road for $5.6 million. In terms of other sales, there wasn't a huge volume of transactions in the waterfront sector. However, we achieved some 70% of all sales of waterfront homes in the area during the course of the year. In respect of the non-waterfront segment, this sector also performed really well during the course of the year. The two standout sales were probably that of 61 Glassop Street, Balmain, which achieved well in excess of $4 million for a fantastic family home, and also a waterfront reserve property we sold in a very tightly held street at Gilchrist Place for also in excess of $4 million. The highest non-waterfront auction sale of the year was our sale of number 8 Stack Street for well in excess of $3 million. In terms of our outlook for 2015, we expect continued capital growth, albeit probably not at the same accelerated rate that we've seen during the course of this year. And it's also quite evident that one category of buyer that's making a strong return are those Aussie expats seemingly taking advantage of the lower Australian dollar. So that's our wrap on the premium property market during the course of 2014 and our outlook for next year. Thank you.
Okay, g'day, I'm Peter Gordon. So I just wanted to give you a quick wrap on what's been happening in the key suburbs of Rozelle and Lilyfield that are a big part of our market here. Roselle's had a great year. We've seen an average clearance rate across the board, really strong demand, holding at about 70%. That's the adjusted clearance rate. So what you'll see in the newspapers is clearance rates of around 80%. Once they factor in properties that are being withdrawn prior and things like that, that aren't quite reported at the time, it comes back to about 65–70%, which has been pretty consistent across the last 2 years. What we have seen this year is the average sale price in Rozelle, which has climbed from around $1,050,000 last year up to 1.15. So we've seen an increase in prices of nearly 13% this calendar year. So that's obviously good news for homeowners in Rozelle. What I think is a very interesting comparison between Lilyfield and Rozelle, what's traditionally been Rozelle sort of leading the way in terms of prices. For the first time, we've actually seen the average sale price in Lilyfield exceed that of Rozelle. So the average sale price in Lilyfield at the moment is 1.175. That's across this year. Obviously in Lilyfield you do get bigger blocks of land, so if you were to look at the average price per square metre, you probably see that Rozelle still holds higher values, slightly bigger properties across the border, so we're seeing a slightly higher average sale price in Lilyfield. Clearance rates still hovering at about 70%, which is great. We've seen some really strong prices across the board in both of them. Some standout sales this year in Lilyfield. We sold 33 Cecily Street, which was a 2-bedroom semi. Pretty straightforward, beautifully presented, fabulous design. Very typical semi configuration, 2 bedrooms down the hall, living room at the back, no parking, about 145 square metres. It's a property that would have, a couple of years ago, sold in the mid-900s. We sold that for nearly 1.3 million under the hammer, which was a great result. We also had a couple of stronger sales at the upper price range as well. 58 Gladstone Street's one that we sold a couple of weeks ago, 3-bedroom house, nicely presented, 250 square metres, sold for 1.85 million under the hammer as well. So some really strong prices there across the board. Rozelle, the upper end of Rozelle, it's probably been attracting more of your family buyers. We're seeing people who would maybe traditionally have been your Balmain family buyers that are actually looking at Rozelle as being a very serious option. The Rozelle community's been great this year. Darling Street's really doing well up in Rozelle. Some very strong prices. There was one that traded recently for over 3 million. Family home on Nelson Street. We had a great sale at Padstow Street in Rozelle too, which sold for 2.4 million for a 3-bedroom house. So some really strong prices, seeing some great confidence in the market, and looking forward to a big 2015.
Hi there, I'm Andrew Liddell and I'm here to talk to you today about how 2014 fared in the 2041 market, which encompasses Balmain, Balmain East and Birchgrove. So there were 167 transactions up to the $2 million price point, and I saw the year to be very positive for the real estate market, especially in the first half of the year. I felt like winter did have a bit of a slow period, which is very traditional and very normal for the marketplace. And then coming into the beginning of spring, we saw a real flood of property hit the market, which actually diluted a lot of the competition. So it did become a little bit tougher, but nevertheless, property was still trading and there's still definitely confidence out there. I would suggest that the strongest price point was probably just sub $2 million, the 3 to 4 bedroom marketplace. I think that the family sector really drove a lot of that marketplace, and I think that there were some really outstanding results from our office and across the board in the marketplace in general. I think that the $1 million price point, sort of either side of $1 million, I think that became the new sort of 1.2 mark, just based on growth and supply and demand. I think there was a real strong sector there. Looking ahead for 2015, I think there's going to be some really exciting things happening. I think that growth is going to be nice and slow and steady. I don't think there's going to be any dramatic highs and lows, which I think is a really good thing for the marketplace. I think the key from here is clearing all of the stock that we've got, starting fresh in the new year with a really fresh enthusiasm and some great ideas. And I'm really looking forward to big changes ahead.
Hey guys, Ben Southwell here. Today I'm just going to run through a couple of the stats from Leichhardt and Annandale over the past 12 months. So in Leichhardt, the highest sale price went to a home down in Marlborough Street trading for $3,050,000, which is a record for the area and definitely the highest trading price that we've seen this year in both of those markets, to be fair. Now, with the number of transactions that have taken place, Leichhardt has continued with its trend of roughly 300 sales year to date. Now, what's also interesting is the medium and also the average sale price has risen roughly 100 grand. So 12 months ago, whilst most medium and average sale prices were hovering around 900 grand, they're now sitting roughly around about $1 million. Average clearance rate year to date has been sitting right on 87%, an incredible number. It's been consistent right throughout the year, and that's quite impressive. Okay, so moving across to Annandale, the neighbouring suburb for Leichhardt, we saw the highest price go to a dilapidated heritage home in Annandale Street, trading under the hammer for $3 million. Now, the numbers this year have trended back slightly, whereas Annandale would traditionally trade 200 homes per year. It's hovering somewhere either side of 160 homes for this year to date. But what is quite impressive is the premium end of this market has really been performing. So last year, homes that were struggling to achieve a result or even hit that mark that the vendors would be looking to accept have been trading in a shorter time frame. So your 1/8 all your way through to your 2.9 millions have been trading really strong. And I guess we bring that down to the journey of the buyer. We're finding a lot more buyers from the northern beaches, a lot more buyers from Drummoyne, Five Dock, moving into the area, even from the Balmain Peninsula, looking for that bit of extra space, more parking and the wider streets. Now, the clearance rate for Annandale has been equally competitive with Leichhardt, sitting at 86% for the year. Also an incredible number. To think that those two markets have been performing this strong for 12 months has been really encouraging. So what we've seen this year is the general vibe across the market has been somewhat of an emotional roller coaster, with the start of the year seeing a lot of aggressive buyers, multiple bidders on many properties, with prices being achieved well over in excess of vendors' expectations. And this momentum continued all the way through winter, and this was probably due to the serious and severe lack of supply. So that maintained the momentum all the way up into the first couple of weeks of spring, where we had a new fresh injection of some properties to the market. Now that first run of homes saw some really great results achieved. What we're finding now is the market is softening ever so much because there is a lot more homes coming onto the market. Buyers are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable that there's a lot more choice to choose from. I think for our point of view, the most important thing moving into 2015, which has been critical, and I know we've talked about it on many of these previous videos in the past, is correct pricing and being competitive with your competition. That's it for me. I'm Ben Southwell, and see you next year.
Hi, I'm Tim Whelan, and on behalf of Lachlan Graham and myself, I'd like to give you just a quick snapshot of 2014. A little bit different for me because I've been in the area for almost 30 years. The biggest thing for me that we've noticed this year is the turnover. The turnover from last year is approximately down nearly 25%. That to me means, and as I read it, that people love being in the area. You tend to grow up in here. For instance, my family's been there for 85 years. My kids have grown up there. People tend to hang on to their properties a little bit longer. It's more settled. For instance, I've sold 2 large properties at the beginning of this year, one under 4 million and one just under 3 million. And both those I sold to them in the late 80s, long time between drinks. The highest price recorded in the Drummoyne area this year was just under 5.5 million, and the lowest price for a studio apartment was around $380,000. The total in sales, as I said, was down about 25%. 2015, my prediction is there's going to be a lot more on the market. So a lot of people are settling down to financially. Just by the information gathered from some of our clients moving forward next year, we're already looking forward to a busy January, February, which is great. Again, with that influx of buyers seeing value for money for our area over there in your Drummoyne and Russell Lee for your homes and units, I see a vast improvement in the amount of property sold, and are really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Damon Parker, and I'm here to talk about the 2046 postcode in review, more in particular with a focus on Abbotsford. Looking back on 2014, the Abbotsford market has been particularly strong. While numbers of transactions are down, the strength in the market and the prices have moved up. Now, to give a little bit of snapshot of that, clearance rates are sitting at 71%. That's a little bit down on the Inner West average of 80, but still very strong for Abbotsford. The highest prices achieved in Abbotsford just around the mid-2 mark, with Cobden and Hayson achieving 3 of the top 5 sales in the area. Now, you're finding, as far as the market sentiment is concerned, there's not a great deal of movement. That holding back of releasing properties to market because there's not one to buy is a self-perpetuating prophecy, and moving forward into the 2015 market, I'd suggest we'll see a little more of a release to property market, thus relaxing the urge and pent-up demand of buyers and seeing a nice fluid open market for next year. Interestingly enough, we're seeing around 40% of buyers actually moving from the Balmain, Rozelle and Lilyfield area, moving out towards and establishing a lifestyle, getting a little bit more land, a little bit more space. So very much a lifestyle suburb and a lifestyle reason to move. In summary, 2014 has been a particularly strong year. Looking forward, 2015, bigger, better, higher numbers. I'm Damon Parker, and I look forward to seeing you out and about.